conversation is obviously, someone talking you right and got you to the space. I think we need a reimagined discussion about the critical need for education in our communities. The reality is no one's coming to save us, right? And we have to do this in many of our communities for ourselves, which means cultivating a more educated secondary, school environment, even down to, early childhood. We have to cultivate education intentionally. And teachers of the future and school leaders of the future really need to see their space in community building. After all, it is teachers who train all the other fields, right? So from engineering to medicine and all the other spaces, it can't be done without quality teaching. And so I just feel like there's a conversation that needs to happen in our communities and amongst our young people to where they really see their role in transforming our communities and changing the world that we live in a positive manner by embracing the call to become educators. I think if we can reimagine that discussion, because we have a young
This is Dr. Rosa Rivera McCutcheon, author of Radical Care, Leading for Justice in Urban Schools, and you're listening to EdUp Accelerated Excellence.
Thank you for tuning into EdUp Accelerated Excellence, the podcast for the advancement of educational excellence and equity. And we would like to share two wonderful opportunities for educators, policymakers, advocates, and scholars to engage in community. First is with our EdUp Accelerated Excellence Listening Tour, because we fundamentally believe that by listening to others, we empower the engine of transformation, unlocking the hidden insights that spark meaningful change. This week, listen to a voice that you often don't hear from, to seek out new insights about educational excellence or equity, and share your thoughts via voicemail at edupxe.com. That's edupxe.com. And your thoughts may be shared on air through this podcast. That's the XE Listening Tour at edupxe.com. In addition, deans, directors, and faculty of educator preparation programs, we invite you to submit nominations for Outstanding Future Teachers for the Accelerated Excellence Future Teacher Award. Research informs us that teaching is one of the most rewarding professions and one upon which all others are dependent. So help us in elevating educator preparation by nominating an outstanding future teacher for the Accelerated Excellence Future Teacher Award 2025-2026. Find more details in the show notes. This episode is supported in part by Patriox Ultra High Oxygen Content Water. Drinking Patriox helps oxygenate the body, promoting overall health, energy, and vitality. In 2026, try Patriox on your journey for accelerated excellence. Receive a 10% discount on your next purchase with the code EdUpXE. That's 10% off with the code EdUpXE at patriox.us. patriox.us. Find more details in the show notes. Welcome to EdUp Accelerated Excellence, the podcast for the advancement of educational excellence and equity. And I'm your host, Jacob Easley, II PhD, PMP. And this is the first episode of a new series focusing on excellence equity, and evolution of historically black colleges and universities. And we're going to kick this off with actually someone I've known for a while. This gentleman is amazing. I have to say he's amazing. So he's a champion for HBCUs. He is a champion for educator preparation. And we both know each other through our work and connections with the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education. He is Dr. Terrance McNeil, chair of the AACTE HBCU Topical Action Group, or better known as a TAG. And he is also the associate professor in the Department of Educational Practice and Leadership at Tennessee State University. So, Terrance, would you introduce yourself to the EdUp Accelerated Excellence community by giving voice to your name as only you can, and just tell us what's top of mind right now as you continue your work as a giant in the world of HBCU action?
Well, I'll do that. But first, I just want to say thank you, brother, for the kind words, as well as for the existence of this podcast and the work that you're doing to amplify voices within the higher ed space, and especially with this series that allows us to center the work of HBCU. So, yes, I am Terrance McNeil, associate professor at TSU, as the brother said, and I am really happy to be here. I come to you by way of Tennessee State University, but also through Florida A&M University, where I'm a proud two-time Rattler, and also by way of Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I've got my first taste of the HBCU experience. Before I knew what an HBCU was, I knew what Fayetteville State University was. And so learned a great deal. I think that imprinted on me well. But I'm here and really happy to have had a number of experiences coming through the ranks of, getting my education and applying that education, hopefully for the upliftment of not just HBCUs, but education in teacher education and school leadership in general. So really happy to be here. I'm looking forward to having this discussion with you, sir.
Well, welcome to the show. So we're going to go back a bit and then work our way forward, if you don't mind. So I know you began your career in education as a classroom teacher. So thinking about that, and you've had a vast experiences working with and studying at HBCUs, but how did that classroom, like K-12 experience, shape your affinity for and your work within HBCUs today?
Well, I tell you, I did start my career, working in K-12 education. I was a certified teacher in social studies, 6 through 12. I spent a lot of time working with students on all levels, really, even the primary level. One time I was at a school and two things happened that really imprinted on me. One time I was at a school and I caught a kid, it's kind of speaking out of pocket, in the parking lot. Had a word with him and, he says to me, yeah, hey, Mr. McNeil, we just N-words, right? That's just who we are, man. We just gonna do what we do and things of that nature, right? So there was that. And then, actually prior to that, I had a deep conversation with a student. I was working in a youth detention center, doing some volunteer teaching there, incarcerated young people. And one day they were just kind of really, this was before I decided to be a teacher. They were really kind of lethargic one day. They probably had a bad night. I come in trying to, lift spirits and things, and they say, look, man, look at us. We're here. We're locked up. We're incarcerated. Nobody cares about us for what our future is to be. And I thought about that, man. At the time, I was working for IBM, and before I got in education, and, I thought about that. And, I just had a profound impact that if any change was going to happen in education, I needed to be a part of that. I thought it was more important for me to pursue a career in education. And at that point, having heard those young people's testimonies, than other pursuits that I was at the time interested in. So those experiences with students really kind of led me to try to be as strong a voice as possible as it relates to the education of our youth.
Well, I know from the first example, the N-word, that was a black male or individual. I'm assuming the other groups were as well.
Yeah, these were incarcerated, mostly black young men, and very bleak outlook on what their lives could be. And I just knew better, coming from my circumstance, what was possible. I just realized that there were not enough voices to speak that to these young folks, and so yeah, that really had a profound impact on me. It changed my whole life trajectory, just that conversation with that young man.
Yeah, it was very clear that they had internalized societal or low expectations of society, or at least the groups of which they were familiar.
Yeah, and if you think about it, just how that happens exponentially, right? There are communities all around, our nation where young people they might not tell you that, but showing signs of being destitute of a hope, a plan for the future, and that void can be filled with a little bit of inspiration from educators like us.
Destitute of hope. Powerful words. So just briefly, when you think about those young men, why are HBCUs important?
Well, I tell you, again, growing up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, having family who were, situated around the University of Fayetteville State, I came to know most of the successful people that I knew in that town were associated with Fayetteville State University. Mm-hmm. So they either worked there or had been educated there. They were supporters of it. There was a certain love and a camaraderie. It's been widely reported, the benefits of the HBCU experience for young black males and females, having an environment that is not just an institution of learning, but also one that cares and that shows the sort of empathy and can connect with students' lived experiences to the point to inspire them to do great things and work. As it relates to our teacher ed experience, obviously the numbers don't lie in terms of HBCUs being just 3% of the schools, the universities, yet producing over 50% of the black teachers in America. So we're, obviously punching above our weight in terms of what we're able to produce. And so I see it as some of the most fertile ground for cultivating teachers and school leadership,
So in your case, proximity definitely mattered.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I just learned from just being in those spaces, and I continued to be affirmed in the value of the HBCU experience as I grew up. Obviously, I grew up years ago in the era of, obviously, and the era of, school days and, Different World and Cosby Show and all of those things. And we continue to be, kind of educated about HBCUs during that time. And there was a lot of our understanding and thinking was that the HBCU was the path to success for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the AACTE HBCU tag or topical action group. It was founded in 2015. So can you paint a picture for us of the conversations and context that lead to the inception of this tag?
Yes, of course. So, as you mentioned earlier, AACTE and the Home Scholars organization was fundamental to me as a PhD student. And we were at that time under the administration of Sharon Robinson, who was very supportive of the Home Scholar program and encouraged us and put us in spaces, so that we could be educated and be prepared for the workforce in education. We also had Vice President at the time, Roderick Lucero, who served under that administration, and seeing the work that we did in the Home Scholar group, I believe it was Rod who saw us as an emerging voice, right? The HBCUs were starting to increase its participation in homes. And as I neared, graduation, he approached me with the idea and the concept of having an affinity group for HBCU teacher education. So, shout out to Rod Lucero for recognizing that and seeing the value and the efficacy of the HBCU voice.
Yeah, Rod's definitely a change maker. We appreciate him, and Dr. Robinson as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So the TAG recently responded to the UNCF, or the United Negro College Fund report on Black teacher preparation at HBCUs. So as you mentioned earlier, HBCUs produce over one half of all Black teachers within the nation. What would you say we can learn from the legacy of HBCU teacher preparation for the field more broadly?
Yeah, we need only to look at, the history of excellence that has been spawned from the HBCU experience. So when you start thinking about, people like W.B. Du Bois and, Inez Prosser, right, the first Black recipient of a PhD in psychology, I believe, from Prairie View A&M, right, Agnes Coppin, and the foundational people who had as a mission to advance, HBCUs in general, but knowing that it was indispensable from preparing teachers. Most HBCUs were founded on the principles of teacher education. Many accreditations are tied into teacher education at HBCUs. Yeah, so that legacy of teacher preparation and the sheer results that we've been able to achieve has been special. I think in talking about the legacy is obviously there were times when in this society, HBCUs were the only source for producing teachers. And so there's a rich history and an understanding of how learning takes place and could take place within spaces, particularly marginalized spaces, those of Black and brown students. I think there's a certain level of excellence that is there as it relates to the teacher preparation that takes place. I think it's also important to understand that the seriousness of the moment, right? And the times that we find ourselves in here, years after the establishment of HBCUs, years after all that has taken place within the fight for civil rights, and within all of the progress that has even happened, I'll say, we still have a situation of disparity as it relates to academic achievement of young people in our communities. And so, while learning from that legacy, it's also important for us to understand what's happening right now and the urgent need right now for HBCUs to be motivated to do greater works to continue to try to combat some of the disparities that we've seen.
And just for the audience's reference, that report is entitled "The Hard Work of Hard Work: Black Teacher Pipeline Best Practices at HBCU Teacher Education Programs."
Yeah, now, what I'll say about that is another thing, as it relates to UNCF and the work that they've done to center that conversation. There, you know, the HBCU tag decided to develop a position paper in support of that, because we really recognize the need for us to work collectively, right, to with a common message and to share. And so when organizations like UNCF step to the plate and center teacher education, we simply had to applaud that, and we had to support that, because we truly believe that not just in terms of HBCUs or in terms of the Black community, the preparation of Black teachers is essential and valuable the nation over. I've said it before, I think more folks should be educated by a Black teacher, right? And not just those from the Black community. I think it leads to a shared understanding, a recalibration of our perspective, regarding race in this country, regarding excellence. I think everyone needs to be under the tutelage of at least one Black teacher who cares, right? And so when UNCF recognizes that we need to focus on that pipeline, it's extremely heartfelt on this side. And so the tag really supports what they've done.
Right. And I mean, we've all heard the research that having at least one Black teacher changes the academic trajectory and academic aspirations and outcomes for students, particularly students of color. But not only for students of color, we've also seen positive impacts with having Black teachers of color, particularly when you have multiple in the school, around school culture transformation as well.
Yeah. And, you know, that gets to your equity conversation. And I want to jump ahead of that. But obviously, despite the reports, diversity is good. Diversity of thought, diversity of perspectives leads to everyone's expanded understanding about things, not just in subject matter, but in terms of the world. So,
it's really interesting. I mean, it's actually inevitable, unavoidable, because we all grew up with different life experiences and different cultural perspectives, some macro, but micro, I'm going to say micro cultural perspectives. So, for example, you grew up in one state, I grew up in another state, two Black men, but we have different experiences, and you hold to those values of your community because those are the ones that have supported you and prepared you to be successful, at least in that community. And you don't shed those thoughts and beliefs instantaneously when you are now in a new environment. It takes some negotiations because your perspectives may not necessarily completely work in a new environment. And so you do have to have conversations around diversity in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of it is the Black teachers that I have been associated with, or even the teachers from HBCUs, I'll say that, because we have a diverse student body at Tennessee State University, full of students from all backgrounds who are contributing to education. But so I'll say from the HBCU teacher education space, I think those students who have graduated from those programs really want to contribute to critical discussions. They want to be a part of the change that takes place, and there's that empathy that we spoke about. They carry that empathy into the classroom, and so just in a microcosmic way, the graduates from HBCU teacher education programs are known for contributing greatly to the overall well-being and health of students from all backgrounds.
That definitely makes sense. This episode is supported in part by Patriox Ultra High Oxygen Content Water. Drinking Patriox helps oxygenate the body, promoting overall health, energy, and vitality. In 2026, try Patriox on your journey for accelerated excellence. Receive a 10% discount on your next purchase with the code AddUpXE. That's 10% off with the code AddUpXE at patriox.us. Patriox.us. Find more details in the show notes. So you're on record for having highlighted for highlighting the need to strengthen the Black teacher pipeline beginning prior to college.
Yes.
So what should P12 schools, families, and communities, what should they be doing differently for the Black teacher pipeline?
Oh, of course. That's a great question. I love that question. First of all, when we talk about what should P12 families and schools be doing, I think it's time for us to have a discussion about this K-16, right, discussion, right? Because obviously there are challenges in teacher preparation, and we have some issues to discuss, but I think it all links up to a shared community conversation. So I think the universities have to be a part of that discussion. But what I will say is, when I talk to young people about careers in education, they say two things, which I wouldn't put you on the spot, but I'm sure you have heard these two things as well. One, that they don't see a career in education because of teacher pay, right? They say I need to get paid, and the reality is, a student with academic promise often elects to go for more lucrative fields, right? Those where they might be able to, command a higher salary. Now, we've done the research on that too, and kind of debunked some of that, because in many cases, the starting teacher pay is commensurate with many other fields. But there's that. And then the other thing is, they say, well, I don't want to how to say this, teach those bad kids, right? I don't want to be a part of that. I couldn't handle it. It's just too much. And, my conversation is obviously, someone taught you, right, and got you to the space. I think we need a reimagined discussion about the critical need for education in our communities. The reality is, no one's coming to save us, right? And we have to do this in many of our communities for ourselves, which means cultivating a more educated secondary, school environment, even down to, early childhood. We have to cultivate education intentionally, and teachers of the future and school leaders of the future really need to see their space in community building. After all, it is teachers who train all the other fields, right? So from engineering to medicine and all the other spaces, it can't be done without quality teaching. And so I just feel like there's a conversation that needs to happen in our communities and amongst our young people, to where they really see their role in transforming our communities and changing the world that we live in a positive manner, by embracing the call to become educators. I think if we can reimagine that discussion, because we have a young generation who's growing up in this particular environment, trying to figure out how to make change, trying to figure out how to make this a better world, and to counteract some of the things that are negatively occurring in our community. I think they need to understand that education and educating our young people is an extremely indispensable piece of that. And if they would reimagine that discussion in that way, I think we might see, an upward trend in those who are willing to become educators. Lastly, I'll say, we also need to think about embracing students who may not believe that they are college material, right? And grooming more students. There was a Brown University report out of Annenberg, I believe, Brown, that spoke to the fact that we have a disproportionately low amount of Black teachers compared to the amount of students in Black students in public education, simply because we don't put enough Black students in college. And so, we need to figure out ways to recruit more and to get more Black students in college. And I think that would also kind of drive up some of our numbers in teacher education.
Well, 2 points on that, just to respond to you. The low number happens to be connected to the fact that in most states, you are expected to have a college degree or prepared in a way that leads itself to a college degree. So the college degree and certification come together. Yeah. Although some of that's changing, there's some new pipeline initiatives that may not require a college degree anymore. But, that's interesting because we've had that conversation about removing some of the criteria, particularly about whether you need to have a bachelor's degree, or in New York, you're required to have a master's degree for professional certification. And so what we've realized is that conversation really is in some ways, to stave off the teacher shortage, but only for low income, high need schools in some ways, because we find that the more resource schools will continue to hire folks that have advanced credentials.
That's right.
The second part to that is the research you mentioned. We know that one aspect of the research is that people still value education. They feel that education is valuable, even though they may not find it one of the most attractive professions. So I think you're right in that conversation. How do we marry this idea of why do folks not perceive it as being attractive? What are those conditions? Alongside this idea that we actually value. Folks are out here advocating that college is not important, but they are college graduates. They're sending their students, they're sending their own children to college. I'm not saying everyone has to go to college or the same type of college, but those are contradictions where we profess one thing, but yet have a different value around the same topic in a different regard. So,
and just to that, the reality is that we've seen the evidence of, the fruits of the labor of, going to college, just in our generation alone. We are a much more educated generation than our parents. And we are realizing, the effects of all of that. And so the evidence is very clear on that. I mean, obviously there are other pathways and things of that nature. But we know that success exists through the college pathway, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So your background, that is Tennessee State, correct? Mm-hmm. So you're a professor there, yeah. And congratulations in 2026 this year. Tennessee State was ranked as one of the top HBCUs by U.S. News and World Report. From your vantage point, what makes Tennessee State a special place and a standout within higher education?
Well, a great question here. First, I'm just really thrilled to be an educator at Tennessee State University, a university that has a storied history of excellence. The track record is long and vast, right? In terms of all the great things that have happened here. I think being situated in Nashville, which is an amazing city that has not just a music history, right, as started by the Fifth Jubilee Singers, but not just an amazing music history, but also one of a long legacy of civil rights advocacy. There are 4 HBCUs in Nashville, and I think all of them have, worked to against each other in a positive way to be a city in an area where, excellence emerges, right? Academic excellence emerges. Tennessee State has, at many points, led the state in teacher and principal production. We recently executed a grant with the Tennessee Department of Education that helped us to produce a large number leading the state in principal production since I've been here. We also, before I arrived, Tennessee State was the #1 producer of educators amongst HBCUs. And so I was always drawn to go where the work is being done, where people are serious about education. We have a number of great partnerships in this area, being the public land grant state-sponsored school here positions us to have good relationships with the state. We did experience some turmoil in previous years, some people may know about, but all of that has led to us really recommitting ourselves and dedicating ourselves to doing great work here at Tennessee State. So I'm pleased to represent the university in the education space, along with my colleagues in the education and practice and leadership department. We have individuals who are doing great things in terms of Fulbright fellowships, and our professors speak at Oxford, and we work with Stanford University. We've done a number of great things throughout the HBCU communities. We're a leader in education technology, having established the Tennessee State University Smart Center, a great place where a lot of great leadership throughout HBCUs is occurring under the leadership of Dr. Robbie Melton, who also established the Tennessee State University Smart Center in Accra, Ghana, as well. So we're doing international outreach. We're reaching across the water to our sister institutions in Africa, helping to provide leadership and learning in that space as well. So just so many things I could continue to go on and on talking about with Tennessee State, suffice it to say, just as other institutions, other HBCUs are doing great things in their region, such as our friends at Norfolk State University, those in the AU Center, and down in Florida A&M, and Jackson State. There are all of these pockets where this sort of excellence is taking place. And so we're pleased to do the work.
Well, you did say you can go on talking, and I do have another question about Tennessee State. So sure. You also coordinate the Higher Education Leadership EDD program.
Yes.
What is the transformational value that the program seeks?
Well, I mean, you need only look to, I don't want to date ourselves here on the podcast, but you need only look to recent events to see the changes that are taking place in higher ed and higher education policy. These things are affecting universities in a very real way. We are very attuned to that, and we're doing our best to prepare leaders who are capable of working through these challenges and keeping the important things important. We also rely upon great relationships with some of our graduates who are working in state legislature to help us to get a better glimpse of what's happening in education policy. We have a good relationship with the Black Legislative Leaders Network, a national consortium of state legislators, and we're always trying to inform our students as to what is happening, right? So our practicums and things that we do, our dissertations that we produce are all geared towards helping to create a better environment, a better space for students. And we're trying to do that in the realms of pedagogy, of curriculum and teaching, in the areas of school leadership and in education policy.
So would you say that in preparing your students, is the focus largely on the HBCU context or centered HBCU context, but preparation for higher education in general?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll share an insight that I received as a home scholar. And many of those whom I've had this discussion with know I've said this before. So Home Scholars brings together a lot of students from all types of institutions, right? What I found when we showed up during my time, as a student, we were taking on a number of critical discussions regarding school leadership and teaching and pedagogy, right? It was our PWI colleagues who tended to take on more topics related to marginalization, more topics related to, microaggression and, things of that nature. Tennessee State has a history of preparing good educators with the backdrop of us being an HBCU, which I'm sure provides an additional layer, right? I think it makes us a little bit more special for those looking to pursue a doctorate, because not only do you get that straight ahead knowledge that is essential for you to do the work in whatever environment and from whatever background you come from, if you happen to have a particular interest in the marginalized communities, then you'll find that TSU does a great job of contextualizing that conversation as well.
So we're going to continue on the Homes work, and I want folks to know that Homes is a program started in the 80s, actually. The Homes Group, then it became the Homes Partnership, which both dissolved. And one aspect of that work was to increase the number of underrepresented individuals seeking careers, particularly in higher education. And AACTE took up the mantle to preserve the Homes Scholars Program, which came out of the Homes Group. And so that's what the Scholars Program is there for. So you did mention that you were a home scholar at FAMU, Florida A&M, which we refer to as FAMU. So how has your Homes program work, starting even at FAMU, shaped leadership for you, particularly within AACTE, because now you are the chair of the HBCU tag, but then leadership within the profession at large? So how has you being a recipient and participant of the Home Scholars shaped your leadership?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that question, Doc. So one of my professors, Dr. Sheila Moore, was a home scholar and came to FAMU and really, she's the one who really shared with us the merits of the program. And when she introduced it, she says, HBCUs, for the most part, do not have a voice on the national conversation regarding teacher preparation. At that point that she established the Homes program for us at FAMU, there was only one other HBCU involved, and that was Bowie State. And so she just really planted a seed in me about the urgency of us being involved in the national discussion about what happens around teacher education. The next thing I'll share is that upon becoming a home scholar, we all attended Washington Week. And so a very unique situation happened that really helped me to understand the value of our involvement. We were attending a briefing at the Department of Education. And so there was a just wonderful consortium. And in those days, the home scholars, and they still do, put so many great people before our students. AACTE put so many great people around and before the home scholar students. In that case, there were people from National Board on Professional Standards. There were people from CAPE there, Department of Ed, and other great organizations. American Institute of Research was there. And so the conversation started happening. And at some point, I felt compelled to speak on one of the topics. And it had something to do with my wheelhouse. And in that moment, as I was speaking and looking around the room to see the engagement of other people there, I realized right then and there that there was a space for our voice in the national conversation. What Dr. Moore said to us months earlier really made sense to me at that space. Obviously, there's a certain level of trepidation among some of us, that those who sit highest up in the ivory tower know so much more and sometimes there's a tendency to maybe feel outclassed, right, in terms of what but I want to help anyone struggling with that to eradicate that notion, because there are spaces that are best served by the voice of HBCU teacher educators, right? There are spaces that are best served by a diverse perspective. in all fields of endeavor, but particularly in education, where the disparities still exist among certain groups. And so, I then became undaunted with the mission of speaking and telling, the world over, particularly within the AACTE community, that HBCUs and the teacher education voice within HBCUs matters, right, as my shirt suggests. And, it's been a good situation since then, because there are people who agree with that and who embrace the understanding that our voice should be amplified. Not the least of those people was Lynn Gangone, and also our current CEO, Cheryl Holcomb McCoy, who has been extremely supportive of the HBCU tag. I want to take an opportunity to thank her for that, while we're here.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you for tuning into EdUp Accelerated Excellence, the podcast for the advancement of educational excellence and equity. And we would like to share 2 wonderful opportunities for educators, policymakers, advocates, and scholars to engage in community. First is with our EdUp Accelerated Excellence Listening Tour, because we fundamentally believe that by listening to others, we empower the engine of transformation, unlocking the hidden insights that spark meaningful change. This week, listen to a voice that you often don't hear from, to seek out new insights about educational excellence or equity, and share your thoughts via voicemail at edupxe.com. That's edupxe.com. And your thoughts may be shared on air through this podcast. That's the XE Listening Tour at edupxe.com. In addition, deans, directors, and faculty of educator preparation programs, we invite you to submit nominations for outstanding future teachers for the Accelerated Excellence Future Teacher Award. Research informs us that teaching is one of the most rewarding professions and one upon which all others are dependent. So help us in elevating educator preparation by nominating an outstanding future teacher for the Accelerated Excellence Future Teacher Award 2025-2026. Find more details in the show notes. So I'm going to, if you don't mind, engage you in a rapid fire, a few questions,
Okay.
particularly around the theme of this series, which is excellence, equity, and evolution, with the focus on HBCUs. So you, as you just mentioned, have called for a stronger national voice of HBCUs in education, but particularly in educator preparation. What perspectives do HBCUs bring that are often overlooked?
Well, I would say this: the innovation, right, is enough. The different ways of thinking about things, obviously knowing that students learn differently and different approaches work, right? I think as we share our story and what has happened, it is extremely valuable to the broader community of teachers and teacher leaders. I would love to lead a consortium of HBCU teacher ed programs from some of the institutions I mentioned, but also from the Clark Atlantas of the world and North Carolina A&Ts and North Carolina Centrals and Fayetteville States of the world, to help engage more with the broader teacher ed community, to share some of the success stories that have led to those high numbers of Black teacher graduates, in an effort to help those institutions as well. I just think we do a really good job of teacher education, and the more we share, I think the better it is for the overall community within AACTE and teacher ed.
And how would you say that equity is operationalizing the work of the AACTE HBCU tag?
Well, we are extremely fortunate to have partners within AACTE who come from all backgrounds to help and lend support to our mission. Some of those who come to mind as the Branch Alliance for Educator Diversity, or Educator Excellence, I think is the new term. Dr. Cassandra Herring and her wonderful staff, which is a very ethnically diverse set of organization that helps to support not just HBCUs but HSIs, right? And what happens amongst our Native populations in terms of education, they're all over the place, right? And that those multiple voices that contribute to that organization are helping us in support in many ways, and also the support that we get from the AACTE's administration as well, in helping us to establish the Gloria Ladson Billings Award for Excellence in Teacher Education, which is an HBCU specific award that we give out to HBCU, those who either were educated at or work at an HBCU, or just who care enough to lend support to HBCUs. We honor people each year with that. We're committed to having a conversation across multiple, types of institutions and different educational leaders to help contribute to the work that we do. We brought in CAPE before to help us to better understand some of the challenges that are taking place with the accreditation. And we will continue to be open to collaboration with other groups where we can learn and also provide insights to them as well.
And looking ahead 15 to 20 years, how will the tag have shaped HBCU teacher preparation?
Well, I hope that this tag continues to amplify the efficacy of HBCU teacher preparation first. I would love for more of our HBCU teacher ed folks within our midst. We have 26 institutions that are AACTE member institutions who have membership within our tag. We hope to continue to amplify those voices, to continue to connect on a national level regarding policy, to continue to coordinate on a state level regarding the things that are happening in the states, right? Ultimately, I would love to see an increase in those who attend HBCUs to study teacher education, having a more robust knowledge and understanding of how great HBCU teacher education programs are. I hope to be a part of that work. I would also like to see a continued recognition of the great things that HBCUs are doing. Already we have collaborated with the Urban Ed Journal, and we produced just this year, there's a new publication, a special edition on HBCU teacher education programs. We're extremely proud of that, because what that does is it allows our faculty and those who work at HBCUs to share our story, to demonstrate the rigor in research activity that is taking place. We produced 7 publications out of that special edition in that top tier journal of urban education. And I think that foreshadows a good path forward for us. And we look forward to future engagements and more publications so that the world can learn more about what we do and the special nature of our programs.
And we're speaking with Dr. Terrance McNeil, who is chair of the AACTE HBCU Topical Action Group, as well as associate professor in the Department of Educational Practice and Leadership at Tennessee State University. And you talked about moving forward, so I'm looking towards the future. So, Terrance, what is next for the TAG, or what's next in your professional work? And how might the EdUp Accelerated Excellence community engage in either of those?
Well, we are continuing to build our TAG membership. We are continuing to invite those to lean in with us. We're looking forward to a forum that we'll have. Our general body meeting is coming up. So those in the AACTE community who are interested in our TAG can join us, whether you're HBCU affiliated or not. We appreciate your presence and your support. So we do have an upcoming meeting, May 21st on that, where we'll also hear from the AACTE leadership regarding legislative updates that are taking place. As you know, this is a volatile time as it relates to what is happening in higher education in general. And so once again, our partners in the AACTE executive offices are leaning in to help us and brief our TAG on some of those updates. And then we'll take that energy and information into AACTE Washington Week, where we will have a delegation of our TAG participating in Washington Week this year, June 1st through 3rd. And we're really looking forward to that support. Beyond that, we'll be continuing again to work on special editions and continue to publish as an institution. This conversation about HBCUs and HBCU leadership is especially relevant and germane to me. I feel in some ways I'm trying to do the work of my mentor, Dr. Frederick S. Humphreys, who was an outstanding HBCU leader. Personally, I'm writing and doing finishing touches on his memoir. Dr. Humphreys passed away in 2021 after having led Tennessee State as its president and Florida A&M as its president. So as a professor, personally, I draw quite a bit from the insights and the leadership that he's given me. So on a personal note, we'll be amplifying that message through the publishing of his memoir coming in the coming year.
Of blessed memory. And the AACTE HBCU TAG meeting is on May the 21st. Is that online or in person?
That'll be online. It's a general body meeting, so all are welcome. We have a full slate of things to discuss and to cover. We're looking for those who want to work with us to lean in, and look forward to just having a good spirited discussion.
And then AACTE Washington Week is June 1 through 3. That is in person in Washington, D.C. So, Terrance, I want to thank you for this opportunity to learn with and from you here at EdUp Accelerated Excellence, where we seek to advance educational excellence and equity.
Well, thank you. And thank you for the work that you're doing, Dr. Easley. You've always been a leader in our spaces, and we appreciate you being a leader in this new platform.
Oh, wow. I really appreciate it, and I received it. Thank you.
Thank you for engaging with EdUp Accelerated Excellence, a member of the EdUp Experience Network of educational podcasts.
A special thanks to our research assistant, Emma Worthington, a PhD student of Fordham University's School Psychology program. And we want to hear from you. If you have feedback on this or other episodes, or would like to nominate a guest, contact us online at edupxe.com, where you can leave an email or a voice message. That's edupxe.com.
And we encourage you to participate in our XE listening tour by listening to the educational stories of others and sharing your thoughts with us at edupxe.com. You can find this and other episodes on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Radio, YouTube, and other outlets where you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like this episode, don't forget to follow us and share within your network. To leave a comment or suggest a guest, contact us online at edupxe.com.